Oh, hello, everybody. It's Michelle, and I am joined here with Marissa and our amazing guest today, who I'm so excited for. Kiola Raines is joining us from California tonight. Yay! And we were actually just chatting a little bit. Kiola and I met through Instagram, and she is one of my favorite people to connect with and chat with there. And we've done some Clubhouse rooms together over the years. Yeah. I don't know. Is Clubhouse still rolling along? I kind of fell off there.
Clubhouse is still rolling along. I'm on there weekly for a women's support group, and that's pretty much it. When we first started on there, it was towards the end of the pandemic and people weren't really out of their house yet. But now that we can go outside, people are like, I don't want to talk to you on Clubhouse. Let's just talk in person.
Yeah. Which makes so much sense. Yeah. So Kiola is a nutrition coach and a recovery advocate who leads with hope and authenticity. And that's really what I love about you, is how authentic you are, and that aura of hope that you carry with you. And your whole family actually is pretty incredible in that way. So everybody make sure that you go and look up all the Raines. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started and where you are, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. So I am definitely a hope coach. If there was a certification for hope coaching, I would get that, maybe create it. My background education wise, in undergrad and grad school is in kinesiology. In grad school, I studied exercise psychology and ran a studio for several years, worked as a personal trainer, worked as a group exercise instructor. I've had all of the fitness and wellness experiences, from 24-hour fitness, box, corporate gym, which was really just a sales trap, to the YMCA, which was extremely community-based and wholesome, to teaching boot camps outdoors when that was kind of all the rage, was like the outdoor boot camp trend. And what I thought was my dream was to own a studio. Had an opportunity to do that and pivoted from there when I started my own recovery journey, which it'll be in January, 4 years in recovery. Wow. So I'm living alcohol free, haven't had a drink in 3 years. I don't know if I ever will. I don't put a limit on that. I just know right now I'm cool. I'm good for right now. And with that, being the loud and proud person that I am, I immediately broke the rules of the program I was in at that time and just started talking about sobriety on Instagram. And because I did that, I found lots of other folks that were on a similar journey. And that led me to creating some relationships with other women, and which opened up the doors for me to coach on an app called Reframe, which is a quitting alcohol app. It's actually the #1 quitting alcohol app. Go Reframe. Good job.
Awesome.
Woman created. And that now puts me in a position to be coaching and working with folks on their sober curious and their sobriety journeys. And I do also work with my sisters on a workshop called Empower House, which is another space for women's empowerment. We talk about goal setting. We talk about changing our self-talk. We talk about changing negative labels. And then my younger sister, Karma, she teaches a workshop called Breaking Body Barriers, which is movement, freeing movement, really a chance to just get all of the feels out with movement. So coaching, inspiration, and encouragement is my life. It's my passion. I grew up in a household where we were always encouraged to be our best, and that anything was possible. And even in that space, we were moving through our own challenges as a family. My parents still said, you can do anything. You can be anything you want. And that stuck with me. And so I share that. I I'm very passionate about encouraging folks to live the life that you want to live. Like, you don't have to do what anybody else tells you to do. You get to do whatever you want to do. And I get to do that in the recovery space. I get to bring fitness and nutrition into the recovery space. And so I'm bringing it all. I'm bringing the whole package. Live your best life, eat healthy, get moving. And in the recovery space, stay on track with the intention that you set for yourself. Well, that's me in a small blurb.
I love everything that you said, especially about that, coaching for inspiration and feeling that inspiration. Can you tell us a little bit more about Empower House and some of the work that's happening there?
Oh, yes. Okay. So Empower House started off as a quarterly workshop series through a gym, through a studio that I was running. And we created this schedule where every 3 months we brought our members together to look at your goals for the quarter, to look at your life in that quarter, see what you want to change, what you want to add in. Really just a time to evaluate what your life is going to look like over the next 90 days. And then that grew into a one-woman show for a while where I was leading workshops on my own up until December. I guess December 2019 was the last in-person Empower House. And similar, just, looking at the new year and starting to visualize and write down what you want your year to look like. I'm crazy about goals and intentions. I was maybe 22, 23 years old when one of my aunts told me about writing down your 5-year plan. And she said, just get out a journal, and this might sound crazy, but just write down what you want your life to look like in 5 years. And I carried that. I still hold on to that. And Empower House is a way for me to take that kind of mindset and share it, with my sisters. And we tied it into not just setting goals, but looking at, as a woman, how do you talk about yourself? How do you label yourself? And how are those labels maybe getting in the way or hindering you from achieving the things you want? So if you say, I want to have a successful business, but in your head, you're saying, oh, I'm so stupid. I'm always procrastinating. And you're talking negatively to yourself. Then how in the world are you going to achieve that successful business? So we address the self-talk. And then we also address the power, or use the power of movement in that workshop to get all that energy moving. And it's pretty amazing what can happen when you get a group of women together, turn some music on, turn the lights down, and you say, let's go. Walk in your power, move in your power, get your root chakra going and release the tension. And I mean, especially right now, in the US, like that hold that is trying to be put over us, just break through all of that. And of course, it's amazing to work with my sisters, to be able to work with my sisters. But I will say that we had to work through a lot of our own stuff in order to get there. I don't know if you all have siblings, but siblings don't always get along.
Yep.
They don't always get along. And so that's part of the testimony and the message in the workshop, is how important it is to heal. And if you allow yourself to heal, then you have room and you're able to access your dreams, your visions, your ideas, your goals. If you're willing to heal, you can start changing the way that you label yourself and the words that you apply to yourself. If you start to heal, you can move freely and be powerful and confident in whatever body that you're in. So it's definitely something that is near and dear to my heart. And I've been able to watch it grow from mostly fitness and wellness related to healing and sisterhood, along with the fitness and the wellness stuff. So it's pretty awesome. We're set to have a virtual experience in the spring. And then if everything in the world goes well, then in the summer, we're hoping to have a physical retreat where we can get everybody somewhere beautiful and sunny. So
Yay.
Yeah, so
that's amazing. I think that coming together and bringing the healing piece and the emotional piece and that mental piece is something that's so often missed in the wellness world when we're, our physical bodies are clearly important. They house us, right? But so often we lose track of the connection to ourselves and the connection to other people. That's so, so valuable for overall wellness. So what you're doing is so powerful. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Yay.
Absolutely. Something that I don't know, stuck out for me was when you mentioned breaking the rules of the program that you were in. And I've been having a lot of conversations about this in my day job, and about how, there's kind of like this paradigm for recovery that is has kind of been what's the accepted paradigm for what a recovery program is supposed to be. And that does not work for everybody. I would love to have you talk a little bit more to, these rules that programs come with, and, the process of being able to get in touch with yourself, connect with yourself in order to be able to heal, and how we need more flexible kind of paradigms for that in those programs.
Yeah. How much time do we have? This is so juicy.
I'll stay here all night.
So we are in what I call two things. I either call it new age recovery, because I love all the new agey woo woo stuff. And we are in a sobriety or recovery revolution. And if you don't know this, this is powered by women. This is powered by women. This shift has been powered by women. So I like to put that out there because I know the Huberman Lab guy got a lot of credit for his podcast on alcohol, and everyone's like, whoa, alcohol's not the best thing. Wow, I never knew. Yes, we've been saying this for 5 years. There's several women who have been sharing this information for years. And the shift is that you can change your relationship with alcohol without all the dogma. It doesn't have to be a spiritual experience. If that is what aligns with you, then that is fantastic. Do that. Good. But if you want something that's a little bit more free, and you want, one of the terms is called sober-ish. If you want to be in a space where, you don't abuse substances. So maybe every now and then you have a drink. Maybe every now and then you smoke some weed. Maybe every now and then you do whatever it is, but it's not causing a negative impact on your life, then that's okay too. But what happened for me, the shift that happened, is when I realized I don't want to have to label myself as something for the rest of my life. And I don't believe that I have a disease. I know that there was a period in my life that I didn't even know what anxiety was. I knew the word, and I was using alcohol to cope with that. And once I realized that, and I made the shift and the change, well, why do I need to show up at a meeting and keep saying I'm an alcoholic? And I'm like, that's not even, I'm just saying that. That's not even true. It's not even true. And being the rebellious person that I always have been, I was like, no, screw this. No, there has to be something else out there. And ironically enough, it was Instagram. Instagram is the space where people started talking about, hey, there's other options for recovery. It doesn't have to be meetings. You can do whatever works for you. And I started finding little subgroups that worked for me. There's a space I was in for a long time, Sober Black Girls Club, where we talked about being in recovery and being Black women. There is a space like Reframe, or the Luckiest Club, or This Naked Mind. These are other groups where it's less about spirituality and religion and higher power, and it's really more about understanding how your brain works and how alcohol works in your body. So we're in a space where there's freedom. It's not a one size fits all kind of a path anymore. Now there are multiple pathways to get the support that you need. A lot of it you can do from home, from your phone. And for me, that means we can reach more people. That means more people are likely to reach out for support or to even question, well, maybe I am like, why am I drinking every Friday? Is like, what's going on here? And is this a healthy pattern? It gives you the freedom to be curious rather than be judged. And in traditional 12-step, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of judgment there. There's very little curiosity. You follow the steps and you work with a sponsor, or you're going to die. And that's like, it's a little extreme. Someone like myself, I do like to learn and I do like structure. And, while I did go through and work with a sponsor and do 12 steps, after that, I was like, okay, so what's next? Like now, is there a graduation or do we move on from here? And now I get to work in that space that my soul was seeking. I get to work in that space through Reframe, where I'm helping people figure out what their relationship is rather than saying, no, that's bad. You need to quit doing that. And, I think I said it already, but I'm going to say it again. This revolution was started by women. Annie Grace, Emily Paulson, Holly Whitaker. Oh my gosh, now my brain is not giving me the name of the creator of The Luckiest Club, Laura McCowan. Just amazing women who started writing what's called Quit Lit and researching and giving us data and facts and information for us to make a decision. So go women. Yeah. We are behind this. We are behind this change in the recovery space for sure.
That is so awesome. I had no idea that it was I should have known that it was a woman driven change, but yeah, what
don't we do when you think about
right?
it?
Right.
We do it all.
Yeah.
We do it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's been really interesting too, to see, coming, like we're still, like the pandemic is still in existence, right? But coming out of it back into trying to be more back into normal or the good old days, right? And like the amount of people, myself included, who at the beginning of the pandemic, when it was like, oh, this is going to be 2 weeks, we're going to have happy hour. I'm going to have happy hour with my girlfriends from high school. And then after that, I'm going to have happy hour with, my friends over in Europe. And then I'm going to, just drinking all the time, because you thought it was like this short amount of time. And then, that glass of wine every night turns into the bottle of wine every night. And then it turns into, well, I should probably buy a box of wine, because if I don't buy the box of wine, and then all the liquor stores close down, then I'm not going to have any wine in the house. And then that box, it just like is the snowball effect that when you can't leave the house and you can be in your pajamas all day long and you're susceptible to depression, anxiety, or not even being susceptible to that, you don't even realize. And I think, so coming on this other side of things, being more sober curious, being like, all right, how do I, like, I just want to like pull the reins in, and having access to high quality non-alcoholic spirits and wine and things like that.
Wild.
It's right? So wild because they're so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're so good. And I feel like they probably did exist before, but it was so much more niched that unless you were like really looking for it, you weren't finding it, but it's so much more accessible now.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know that. I'll tell you what existed that I know of. As I bartended for about 10 years, and that also didn't help, that didn't help.
Right.
But Michelle, you would be surprised and blown away that in the last 5 years, this is where this new market was created. So there used to be O'Doul's, dusty old O'Doul's. There would be one person that ordered O'Doul's. We would have to dig down in the bottom of the cooler and move everything out of the way to get it. And St. Pauli Girl and like one other non-alcoholic beer. And then there was, I know 10 years ago, I found Free or Frey, F-R-E.
Oh yeah, the wine.
And that one was basically grape juice.
Yeah.
And the only reason I found that was because I was working with my coach, I was doing a training program that was very competition focused. And he said, you got to quit drinking. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Didn't realize back then how deep I was already in. And I had that a few times and I was like, I'll just not drink it all. It's not that good. And then fast forward, around, I would say 2017, 2018 is when we started seeing this rise. But in the last few years, there's a 500% increase in sales. And it's only increasing. And we see companies with not even just alternative liquors or spirits, but like Kin Euphorics, Hi-Yo, Moment. What else is in my fridge? I'm thinking of all the stuff that's in my fridge. These drinks where it's not even so much that it's a mocktail or a zero proof cocktail. It's its own category, which we're calling functional beverages. So these are things that have ashwagandha, L-theanine, lemon balm, rhodiola, all of these natural herbs and ingredients that are giving us the feeling that we want, which is like, you just want to take a load off. You want to take the edge off and to have an option for everyone. It doesn't, you can have that as, Thursday night, it's your girls' night. You have a glass of wine. Cool. Friday night, you're at home, have a Kin, have something else so that you don't have to do the back-to-back drinking. And to your point about the pandemic, I mean, we've seen lots of statistics that tell us that drinking increased because we were stuck at home and because we were stressed the fuck out. Like nobody knew what was happening. Like, what is happening? Are we all dying? Like, is the world shutting down? If I hadn't quit, no, actually, I'll tell you the real, dead, honest, raw truth. You heard it here first, people. If I wasn't pregnant in 2020, even with a year's sobriety, I probably would have been back to square one, just with the, who knows, go out with a bang, just like that. Right. It was a scary time. And so I had to make that decision every day, but I get it. I understand why people were drinking more. We had so much more time on our hands. And like you said, it was like, well, it's a glass. Well, I don't want to go to the liquor store 5 times. You just get more at once. And now people are looking at that experience and then deciding or seeing, okay, maybe that was a little overboard and I want to start to reel it in. And now I have some options. I can cut back a little. I can try an alternative. I can do both, cut back, try an alternative, or I can, take a break from it. And, that you're not left with, cranberry juice and Sprite as your only option. You can have something in a nice glass and you can have something that's actually good for you, because it's not like drinking Sprite is the best for overall health. But if you have something that's like a green tea based drink with ashwagandha in it, now you're getting benefits and it's delicious and you can put it in a cute glass and, still cheers. It's that I say, keep the ritual, change the recipe. So keep that routine, keep that ritual. Let's just switch the recipe up a little bit every now and then and still be able to enjoy ourselves.
I really like that. Keep the ritual, change up the recipe. I really like that a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
It does really change it to even have a glass of kombucha or something in a wine glass or, anything. It really does. I mean, even if you're a coffee drinker or a tea drinker, almost everybody who does drink coffee or tea tends to have that one mug or that one vessel that they use all the time, every single day. Right. And that is the ritual. Yep. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Coming from, my family history has addiction issues on both sides. And I do think a lot of, I think so much of it is partly generational shift in the way that we think about these things. I think our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, and so on and so forth, this was a thing of shame. It was a thing you didn't talk about. And if you were to openly say like, oh, I'm sober, that was also a thing to be ashamed of too, right? That was a thing that was like, oh, well, then you must have a problem. Yeah. And I love that we're at a point where I think, especially because like I think with our generation and subsequent generations, I mean, we talk about going to the therapist all the time. We can't wait to tell our friends what we found out when we went to the therapist. I think it's amazing that like we're able to have these conversations and openly say like, I'm thinking I might be drinking too much and I'm trying to figure out why that is. And not only are we able to have those conversations, but as Michelle was saying, like we have all of these products now to support us in doing that. I think the fact that there's been such a huge increase in non-alcoholic or functional beverages is really telling about where we're at in terms of our acceptance of sobriety and recognition of the realities of addiction. Yeah.
The shame part is what keeps a lot of people stuck, keeps a lot of people sick. I grew up in a household where my dad was overcoming addiction and other family members knew, but we didn't talk about it.
Right. Yeah. You don't tell anybody.
We don't tell anybody about it. And same thing with mental health. My mom's mom survived her whole life with depression, extreme depression, multiple suicide attempts. And so same thing, that was like something she was ashamed of. And there's no reason that you should be ashamed that your mind and your body are not healthy or not the place where you want them to be. If there's something that's missing, something happened to you and you're mentally stuck in that place, so it's bringing your emotions down, why should you be ashamed of that? But I think a lot of shame breaking and the change in generations, again, back to women, in that Me Too movement, when we started saying, you know what, screw this, I'm not going to hold this anymore. This happened to me. And then somebody else said, Me Too. That energy of let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about it, because there are more of us that are dealing with this than we could even imagine. And if I stand up and post on Instagram and say, hey, I'm 30 days alcohol free, then maybe someone else will say, well, shoot, she's doing it. And Kiola's talking about everything all the time. So if she is going to be talking about this, then maybe I'll start looking at my relationship as well. And one of the only reasons I even considered getting some help and some support in my journey is because a classmate of mine posted their chip on Instagram. And I was like, no way, not them. Like, that was the homecoming king of my high school. Like, wow. Okay. So this could happen to anyone. This struggle could be, anyone could be struggling. So yeah, what do I need to be ashamed of? And I say this all the time in my coaching spaces. The more we talk about it, and Brene Brown is huge on this, the more we talk about it, shed light on it, take away the secrecy with any challenge, depression, anxiety, any of the mental health challenges, PTSD, and then of course addiction, then we are breaking away the shame. If you're not keeping it a secret and you're addressing it, now I have a chance to heal and maybe even heal my family. And then that could heal the generation after me. But it's one of those things where I hope, I know my grandmother is so proud that I am not ashamed of who I am, what I've been through. And even for my dad, I think it's really important that he sees me talking about sobriety so openly, because we held that. It wasn't even a secret. That was the crazy thing. It wasn't even, we didn't talk about it. And that made me feel a certain way for a long time. So to be able to just be open, I know for sure that I'm changing the narrative and hopefully helping other people change the narrative in their communities, in their lives. No one should have to have anything that they're holding and that they're ashamed of, that they're experiencing, or that they've been through. That's a whole nother podcast that we could do about it.
We'll schedule it after this.
Definitely. How does the Reframe app how does that work? Like, if people are listening and are interested in giving that a go?
Yeah. So, go into your app store. Right now, it is iPhone only. I know they're working on the Android version of it. And what Reframe offers is education, fellowship, and for those who are interested, you have access to one-on-one support. But the main tool is, I would say, the education tool. So when you sign up for Reframe right now, I believe they have a 7-day free trial, and you are going to be given daily tasks. There's a journaling task. There is a mood check task. There's an opportunity for you to read some research on your brain, on alcohol's impact on the brain, on society. And then along with that, there's community meetings that are available. So in the community meetings, you have a chance to fellowship with folks all around the world, which is pretty amazing. And we check in on different topics. So some of the coaches come in with a theme or a quote. I tend to run my meetings on what the community wants to talk about. I give folks, hey, come check in and share on what your experience has been like. There's also lots of workshops that are hosted in the app. So we have experts in their fields come on and share not just on relationship with alcohol, but on mental health, on nutrition, on fitness. And so the users in the community have access to those workshops. You can watch it live, and you can also watch the recording later. My favorite part is the fellowship. I think that in my journey, fellowship has been the most important thing that keeps me showing up, because I started to connect with other women, especially, and realizing, okay, it's not just me. You had the same experience as I did, or similar experience as I did, and now we can talk each other through it. I love showing up to support people. It's just who I am. And having access to those meetings is very helpful for a lot of people to just see that you're not alone. And of course, the educational part is amazing too. And then I'm coaching in that app. So I work with clients one-on-one. Some folks, it's a daily support. You got this. You can get through this. Let's talk about the sugar cravings and let's push through this challenging event. And other folks, it's more on a weekly basis. We check in, set some goals for the week. But in that space, you have so much education and no shame, no judgment. There's also, unlike traditional recovery, you can choose the cutback path or the alcohol-free path. And so you have access to a drink tracker if you're a person who wants to cut back. We, in Reframe, we encourage you to start with a 10% cutback. So it doesn't have to be, go throw all your wine away and swear to never drink again. It's what are you drinking right now? Let's track that. Look at the week. Okay, you're having 27 drinks a week. All right. So the goal for the first week is to cut down by 2 points. We'll say 3 drinks. Cut down by 3 drinks. Keep tracking that. And every week we make an effort to cut you back down by another 3 drinks. And the goal in that is to help people get to a space where they're drinking responsibly, which is not as fun as drinking irresponsibly. But we're just real about it. It's not and this is something I've had to learn. And I don't think many people are honest with changing their viewpoints and checking themselves. When I first quit drinking, I was like, everybody, we all need to quit drinking. It's horrible. You're going to die. Just don't do it. I wanted to just stop everyone in the world from drinking. And then as my journey has evolved, I realized, no, Kiola, that's don't be the vegan who wants to force veganism on everybody. So I like that in my journey, I've been able to have that wake up and that shift experience. It's a maturity, because if I had stayed in the lane that I started in, I would probably still be saying mocktails it's just one sip away from your next relapse. And that's not true. My fridge right now is full of non-alcoholic beer. I haven't had a drink in 3 years. So I learned in this new age recovery, this sobriety revolution, that there are levels to this. It's a continuum. There are people who drink responsibly and who can enjoy, a beverage with friends, family, whatever the case is. And you can choose not to drink, and that's fine, whatever works for you. And you're supported with that in Reframe. And I know that there's a few other communities. The Luckiest Club is a similar community with meetings and coaching. And I believe This Naked Mind, that's another community. Get in where you fit in. I want people to find whatever community is going to work for them and support them to being their best selves, to living their healthy life, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. It sounds like it's got a lot in common with like the harm reduction model.
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
100% teaching you to slow down, evaluate, and you don't have to go cold turkey in order to get where you want to be. They're definitely following that harm reduction model. Yeah.
Awesome.
Kind of like what you were saying about the, that more traditional route where you have to quit everything and stay away from everything. And I know that in that model, it's my understanding that also then like all substances are off. Like if you have a problem with one substance, you're definitely going to have a problem with all substances. So if you smoke weed or,
anything,
then you're no longer sober, and then that's like filled with judgment, which is not necessarily what people need, right? I don't know. Can you speak to that a little bit about how this revolution is different in that way?
It's so different. Well, I will say I love mushrooms, and so I can't go to I guess I could go if I wanted to, but I would be made to believe that I'm doing a mind-altering substance and I'm not actually sober, and I'm 2 steps away from a relapse. There's a lot of sayings that they have, like, when you're in this meeting, your addiction is in the parking lot doing push-ups. Like, who had time to
wow.
Things that I like one day at a time, we can all use that. That can apply to nutrition, that can apply to fitness, that can apply to therapy.
Yeah.
But it is very true that people have, as we tend to do, made their own interpretation of what this one book suggests that we do. And that kept me quiet for a long time in AA because I was still smoking weed, and I was like, this is the thing that is going to keep me from drinking. But weed didn't take me down the path that alcohol took me. Nowhere near, nothing like it, nothing whatsoever. And so to be made to feel guilty, or that I'm not working hard enough, or I'm not really sober, it wasn't attractive to me. And it only helped me to move on to something else, because I was like, I want to be in a space where I'm supported in this amazing new life that I've created. Alcohol was the substance for me that was taking me places I didn't want to go. And now I've discovered psilocybin has literally freed me. I can't explain it any other way, freed me. But if I told that to some of my friends and I still have friends and people in my community who are in a traditional 12-step, if I told them that, or when I tell them that, they're like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I hope everything works out for you. If you ever need us. And I'm like, I don't. I mean, I need your friendship, but this is the medicine that I've chosen that has helped change my life. And that's something that this new age recovery and this sobriety revolution, sober curiosity. One of my girlfriends is actually writing a book called Sober-ish, where you create what sober means for you, or you create what a non-substance abuser means for you. There's no substance that I'm using to cope with life. And I'm not stuck in a cycle where I just don't know what to do. I don't talk to other people, or I'm not getting therapy. I'm doing everything I can to be the best person I can be. So there's no way that I'm going to allow anybody to tell me that I'm doing that the wrong way. And this is why the shift happened, because people started to feel uncomfortable being told, well, you really shouldn't take your antidepressant meds because that's actually mind altering. And according to the book, and it's like, well, did you actually read? Because that's not what it really says, but we do that with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Bill W. He did LSD and he loved LSD. And that was actually the substance that he felt freed him from his substance abuse. So again, that's a whole nother podcast that we can tap into. But yeah, I'm not for deciding what you can or cannot do to keep you from whatever was taking you down.
Yeah.
Whatever was bringing your life to a place where you don't want it to be. If there's other ways that you can cope with life and you are taking your medication as prescribed, or you find a plant medicine or botanical that is helping free you from anxiety or depression, do that. Do that. Do it safely, do it responsibly, and, keep growing and keep healing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like the dangers of absolutism, right? Where, we take this and it's like, I think for so long, people just accepted the refrain, that somebody with addiction or substance use disorder is incapable of, partaking responsibly or in moderation. Yeah. Yet there's plenty of people out there that are living proof that that's not true. Yeah. And it's like when we try to, right, because we're humans, like we like things simplified. We like dichotomies. We like those types of things. And when we try to reduce humans down to a this or that, it doesn't work that way. And it causes more harm.
Yeah, it does. There's actually new research out from National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism that is shining light on the reality that you can actually achieve recovery, that you can get to a place and a space where you're no longer falling into the guidelines of alcohol use disorder, which is what the DSM uses now, which a psychiatrist would use now to say, to answer the questions on this questionnaire, you have severe alcohol use disorder or you have mild or moderate alcohol use disorder. Now we are in a place where research is showing that you can go from severe to no longer displaying alcohol use disorder. That's like amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And that goes completely against everything that this other model, which is not based in science. This is based in someone's opinions and, well, it worked for all these other people and there all these years, but okay, where's the data? What methods did you follow? And so now for me to read that, it allows me to serve my community even better, to say, hey, let's take a break. There's a few categories that you have to achieve. You want to have cessation from heavy drinking for a period of time and then no longer be displaying those traits of alcohol use disorder. And you could be in a place of recovery. That means that you can heal. That gives me, the hopeful person that I am, that gives me my power back to say, I don't have to go my whole life and say I'm powerless over anything. Yeah. I can get to a place where I say, I've gotten my power back. For a period of time, it was definitely lost. And now I've done the work. I've gone to the therapy. I've gone to fellowship, taken a break from drinking, got back to fitness, got back to nutrition. And now I have my power back. And that is a whole new mindset that we've never seen before. This only came out this year. I actually just saw the article in like the last 2 months. So we're in a very new place. And I think that mindset and that reality can be applied in lots of other aspects of life. So if you fall off track with fitness, if you fall off track with nutrition, if you fall off track with your studies or whatever it is, you put focused energy into that thing, you can get back to a powerful place with your relationship with your body, relationship with food, whatever relationship it is. To me, it means that it's the sign of hope, basically, that you can heal and you can get your power back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important reframe or mindset shift, right? In that you are not going to always, this other thing is not controlling you. You're controlling you, and you're in the driver's seat of the decisions and the choices that you're making. Yeah. And if you make a decision or a choice that ends up being not one that makes you feel great, you can reflect on that and do it differently next time. It's not, well, I did it once, so now I'm just it's all over. It's all over, back to square one, and that does lead to that hopeless, there's something wrong with me, I'm damaged, right? Like that mindset that if you are somebody who is already susceptible to or managing or trying to manage depression or anxiety or any other mental health challenges, that's just going to create a more of a spiral, which is then likely to have you feel like you need to cope with something, right? So
100%. And I feel like that mindset shows up in fitness and nutrition, where we're trying to do something really extreme. Okay, I'm never going to eat carbs ever again. I'm never going to have another potato chip and for the rest of my life. And it's like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. Then you have the one potato chip and it's like, oh, forget it. I'm just going to eat Doritos every day. So it applies to those with fitness. Okay, I'm running 3 miles every single day. I'm not taking a single day off. I'm just doing it all day, hardcore, no breaks. That's not necessarily realistic or required in order to achieve fitness or health. You don't have to have an extreme fitness program. You don't have to have an extreme nutrition program. And there are spaces and places for the experienced exerciser, the person who has experience with nutrition. Maybe you dabble in something a little bit more challenging, but that's not required to achieve long-term health and long-term fitness. You do not have to do anything extreme in order to have those results or have that experience. And I tie fitness and nutrition into recovery every single day. Every single day I'm able to use the tools that I've learned in undergrad and grad school, the tools that I've learned through precision nutrition to help people understand, if you get moving and if you pay attention to what you're eating, you have a better chance of continuing to stay either alcohol free or continuing to be able to drink moderately. Because if you're moving, you're going to get those endorphins. You're going to feel good. You're going to have hormonal balance. You can use food to balance your hormones. You can use food to balance your mood. And if you're feeling physically good and you are feeling mentally well, then you're probably less likely to have to go to any substance to achieve that feeling. And that's when I realized that I could connect all of these, I was like, yes. Okay, I get it. All right. This is it made sense for me. For a long time, I was like, God, why me? I went through that whole, why me? I don't know. It's just, why did this have to be me? And then in the last 2 years, I realized, oh, right. Okay. It all makes sense now. I needed to have that experience, those experiences, so I can be authentic and be genuine, be speaking from my true experience. And then now I can take what I was using for general population, which is great, and I can use it in this community who really, really needs it. No one was talking about fitness and nutrition when I first started my sobriety journey, and now we're starting to use it. There's a really awesome doctor of clinical nutrition, Brooke Scheller, who is writing a book called Functional Sobriety, where she really ties in the food piece. And so now we're realizing food is our friend. Food is your friend. Food is not the enemy. You can use food to grow your muscles. You can use food to shrink your body if that's what you want. You can use food to decrease feelings of depression. You can use food to get hyped up and get all the energy you want. It's not the enemy. It's a tool for us to feel however we want to feel. Once we can get everybody to understand that, we'll be in a really good place. I don't know if it's going to happen ever, but
let me know.
Well, I think one conversation at a time starts to spread that message, and all of these parallels between sobriety and recovery and fitness and nutrition and, all of these systems that are in place that have like influenced and impacted us in the way that we relate to food, in the way that we relate to our bodies, in the way that we relate to substances like alcohol. These are all things that, again, we've been taught, but we can also unlearn to live happier, hopefully longer, more fulfilling lives. So the work that you're doing is so important. And I just love having this connection with you and being able to chat with you about it. So thanks.
Thank you.
I do think that you'll need to come back on, though, to touch on some of those other topics. And I would love to touch on kind of that mommy wine culture piece and things, too, in another episode. So.
Oh, yeah. Count me in.
Yay. All right. So if there was anything that you were going to leave the people with tonight, what would that be?
I will leave you with, you do have power. You are empowered. And one of my favorite lines I heard I want to say it was Jim Rohn said it. You can change your life. You can change your life. Anything that is on your heart, on your mind, on your spirit, you have the power to experience it. So make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you again for being here with us today. And we look forward to doing a part 2.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.